Hello and happy Friday, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this week's new episode of Breakfast with Boom. I'm one of your hosts, Mr. BoomStick XL. Thank you so much for taking your time on this lovely Friday. Here it is going to be a high of 73 today, which is awesome considering that Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday basically was hell on earth here in New Rochelle, New York, which no thank you. And again, we weren't the only ones, but yeah, no thanks for the heat. And speaking of heat, man, we got two monster-sized topics. Now, if you're wondering, I had originally pitched that this was going to be an ensemble cast of characters. Unfortunately, this is one of those days where Korkenstein got stuck at work, Umbra got stuck at work. I mean, there's a lot of people supposed to be here, and everyone was doing something. It's fine. But you know what? We'll get everyone back. Umbra might show up, and I did send a link to Hargeet Chani if he has the time to pop in and drop his bars and then just bounce out. But Fuzzy Belvedere, good morning, kind sir. How the heck are you? How you feeling?
I'm feeling all right. A little bit of heartburn, but other than that, glad to be here with you. There's just so many people on social media declaring what's an Xbox and what's not an Xbox. I think they're missing the point. It should be, hey, does it play the Xbox games? Yeah. Does it have the capability of playing other games? Hey, even better. So
Yes.
it's just so much weird energy out there on social media right now that I've spent most of my time just playing games and learning who to mute and ignore or block and whatever, because it's like, why argue over a device? Like, I think it's time to move past the device and focus on what Xbox is delivering as far as first-party exclusive, well, not exclusives, but first-party titles that, they've been keeping Game Pass pretty much loaded all this year, and next year it seems pretty stacked. So, yeah, can't wait to talk about it.
Well, I mean, so let me get into the show notes here because, folks, we have two topics that are going to kind of segue into one another. And look, the first topic, it's funny, Fuzzy Belvedere, how a certain device, i.e. the ROG Xbox Ally, is being touted as a step or tip of spear for what Xbox is going to do for next generation. Now, for some people, next generation doesn't officially start until said console or new console is in that generation, whether that be Xbox, PlayStation, or Nintendo. Now, Nintendo's next generation, even though it is a couple of years old in regards to its power and its hardware, the Switch 2 is their next generation hardware. And I would imagine this is going to run probably about 7 or 8 years. It might run even 10 years. We know the power of the Switch, Switch 2 more specifically, is about a PlayStation 4 Pro, which is fine. A lot of beautiful games on a PlayStation 4 Pro, so there's that. But where I want to focus the attention is some of the conversation that's happening. And who comes into conversation with that is Paris Lily. I don't know if it's Paris. It's a little bit early for the West Coast. It's only 7:05 there. I don't think Paris is up yet, but he might be. And usually when I say his name like 3 times, he shows up like a genie, which is awesome. But Paris has been talking about launching PlayStation games from his console. I saw him put a post up earlier regarding Towerborn crossplay on the handheld via Xbox and Steam, which is great. Tom Warren has been a little scandalous with announcing that he in fact is going to launch Spider-Man Miles Morales, which from his Xbox, from his ROG Ally, which is not the official Xbox one yet because that's not out. It is his. He's in the preview program, but the one that I guess the star of this conversation is Destin Legary. Now, Destin, I know a lot of people have issues with some of the things that he says. I like Destin a lot. I have not had it. Did I meet Destin in real life? I don't know if I did. I might have. It wasn't this year. It might have been last year. And I've been a fan of his work for a while. We don't always agree. And I would imagine some of the things that I've said, Destin's like, yeah, that BoomStick, he's a lunatic. And that's fine. But, I saw people going after him, and I actually have a couple of those tweets. I got to read them verbatim because it's just I think this is crazy. Like, one of the tweets that got a lot of smoke for him was this: PlayStation fanboys argued with me for 2 years saying PlayStation games would not run on next Xbox handheld or console. Now it's been proven true. Questions have been answered. This is not console warring. You're just mad at the answer. And he is not wrong, ladies and gentlemen. What we are talking about is currently there are a lot of people in the community as well that have ROG Allies or ROG Ally X consoles. Well, Fuzzy, they are launching PlayStation games that they own on Steam from these handhelds. I've seen, again, the one thing that we will never do on this show is use someone's name, for anti-whatever. That's why when I say we don't use the names, it's not because I'm afraid of smoke. I'll punch somebody in the face. It's not a problem. But I just don't feel that we need to stoop to some of the levels that others have in order to gain subs. Like I said, folks, make no mistake, I'm a gentleman. I choose peace because I like being peaceful. But I can be an a-hole, and I prefer never to do that because that's a real nasty side of me that I don't like, which is why I don't get into the console war nonsense or the smoke or any of the, pointing out people's flaws. That's not for me to do. I like to keep it about video games, and that's exactly what we're going to do here. But, just looking at some of the responses that Destin got, the nameless will remain nameless, as they should. But, folks, I'm here to tell you, this honestly should not come off as a surprise. It really shouldn't. But the fact that the Xbox Ally and Ally X literally has Xbox in the title, literally will launch with a UI that was designed by Xbox, literally have an Xbox button on these things. Folks, if you are having a one-to-one problem with equating that this is an Xbox, then I can't help you. I don't have a PhD. I can offer some suggestions where you might want to sit down on a couch with somebody and hash this shit out, because Jesus, it's to the point where I read some people's tweets, and when I read it, the minute I start, it's block or it's mute. But I don't finish reading them because I'm almost embarrassed for some of these grown men. These are grown men. These aren't 15-year-olds. We're not in the schoolyard, ladies and gentlemen, flipping baseball cards or trying to say that Nintendo does what Genesis don't, or Genesis does what Nintendo don't. We're old men. And the fact that there are people like really that have channels that have lots of subs that are sticking their poles in the ground, to try and win some sort of an argument about this not being an Xbox, folks, I'm here to tell you, it's honestly the saddest thing I've ever seen. And I am embarrassed for some of these grown humans. And again, we don't name names because we never want to embarrass anybody, because that's not the way we roll here at Double Barrel Gaming.
Mhm.
But Fuzzy Belvedere, I want to have this conversation because I think it's time. We've talked about the handhelds. You've seen the title. The title is going to be the second half of the show because, folks, I'm here to tell you, I honestly believe PlayStation 6, and it's years out. I don't think it's before 2027. Hell, it might even be 2028. I'm telling you right now, Xbox already has an advantage on a console that's still in its design phase on paper. We'll get to that second half of the show, why I believe that's an actual happening right now. But let's talk handhelds, because again, the one raging fact by a lot of the PlayStation vocalists, if you will, were that PlayStation is going to block Steam from allowing you to launch a game on Xbox. And when that didn't happen, then the narrative was switched. And again, this is where the goalpost moving comes in, folks. Where, well, that's not really an Xbox, Mr. BoomStick XL. Where it's not. It's made by somebody else. It's when it's Microsoft, it's an Xbox, folks. OEM, go look it up. Very simple, and it's how Xbox is going to move, folks. They're going to give you an opportunity to play anywhere, everywhere, and choose the hardware that you want to play. If you're not a fan of Microsoft and you're a fan of Lenovo, you're probably going to be able to buy a box from them or a handheld from them. Obviously, Asus and ROG, well, they already have one, and they're going to continue this partnership. Alienware might make one. Pick your favorite manufacturer. It's a good chance that there's going to be some sort of a handheld or home console or even a dockable console that could be in the fray that doesn't actually come from Microsoft. So that's not an Xbox, but it plays all of your Xbox games and all of your Steam games and good old games and Epic games, but it's not an Xbox? Fuzzy, let's try and make some sense of this shenanigans.
Yeah, it's weird to me that people are so focused on whether this is an Xbox. Like you said, it has Xbox in the name, has an Xbox button, an Xbox UI. And I see a few statements in the chat as far as, well, it doesn't play Xbox games. I hate to tell you, Xbox makes games for PC, so they're still Xbox games. I don't know if comprehension is a tough thing, but if Xbox makes games for PC and this plays the PC versions of them, are they not Xbox games? I don't know, but like, I look at it as this is the transition that they're moving into, where you don't have to rely on, keeping old hardware or necessarily keeping multiple versions of similar hardware. You can basically have one box to kind of rule them all, which this is where the Xbox One name would have come in handy for this next generation. But being able to have access to these additional stores, I think is a good thing. And I'm not worried about if Xbox is making money off of the Steam store being there. Like, I think we need to really stop worrying about if a company makes money, because as long as we're enjoying the games, I think that's the key thing. Given that the industry is somewhat volatile, like sometimes they can make money and still things get, I guess you could say discontinued or closed or whatever you want to call it. But I think the main focus should be Xbox is providing this opportunity with this device moving forward where you can play their Play Anywhere titles, which, Play Anywhere means it's a console title and a PC title. You get the dual entitlement. You can basically play it on either device. You can stream it. You can download it, natively. That's the key thing that this is doing. Now, if they can expand upon the Play Anywhere, which I expect at some point, probably into the next generation, at least the first party stuff, and even, excuse me, some of the partnered second party stuff, like things like Rise, Son of Rome, or Dead Rising 3, which were exclusives for the Xbox One. I would like to see those get to the Play Anywhere stage by the time the next generation console comes out. And I think it's doable, considering they either have publishing rights or some ownership of those IP. So I can't imagine it being that difficult, whether it might be more money that they have to pay in licensing or, some sort of renegotiated contract amongst those either devs or other publishers, much like things like Quantum Break. That's a Play Anywhere title. I believe the saves were separate originally when it was, first launched, but now it looks like your save can continue, or at least I know of ways to be able to copy and sync those saves. So that way it's like a seamless playthrough, whether you jump from console or PC or one of these handhelds. But I think that's probably the biggest thing that people need to focus on, is that, moving forward, they're working towards getting all of the Xbox titles on these devices and making it so it blurs the line between console and PC. Now, is that something that happens overnight? I don't think it will, but I think within the matter of a couple of years, they could get a lot closer or just have a lot more devs. So if, let's say, 70% or 80% of your entire library is playable as far as Play Anywhere, or you've found a way, or maybe Xbox finds a way for physical disc to be converted, like they had rumored towards the later part of Xbox One, for going with this digital only type of process, which they're fully moving towards anyway. I think that's going to be some of the things to look forward to, whether they do some sort of a disc exchange program to get you a digital license or a digital key. And at that point you pick, hey, make it a play anywhere or play it on PC and new, like, the next gen Xbox device and these handhelds, so be it. But I don't know why people seem to take so much issue with a PlayStation game that was perfectly playable on a Steam Deck, perfectly playable, weeks before on a ROG Ally or a Legion Go or an MSI Claw or any of the IO Neo handheld devices. All along, those PlayStation titles that were available on Steam were playable there. So why is it anger them so much that now that Xbox is working with one of those partners on a handheld, and potentially maybe they still release their handheld, but further down the line, that these devices would be capable of playing these PlayStation titles. And because of that, it can't possibly be an Xbox because Sony wouldn't allow that. But it's like Sony wants money. Sony wants, games on PC because that's additional money on the table that, for years they've kind of left there. And now they're realizing that that might be a bigger way to go to expand their player base. Sure, they're selling tons of consoles, but if they're not selling tons of software like Nintendo tends to do with their first party stuff, where you might sell, was it 3.5 million, copies of the Switch 2, and I think they sold nearly that many, if not more, copies of Mario Kart. Now, granted, some people probably bought the cartridge and stuff like that, but it seems like Nintendo is the main one that does that great attach rate. PlayStation's kind of, scratching their head, whether it's the $70 price increase, well, not $70 increase, but the increase to $70 for their titles and the potential for 80, like what Microsoft is trying to do now. If that, slows some of those sales, because, PS4 generation, 20 million sales on title seem to come rather easy on their first party. And even more so with some of the licensed stuff for like Spider-Man. But, moving into this generation, it seems like they top out at around 10 or 12. I don't think, and I could be wrong, that there's been a 20 million seller that's been a first party PlayStation title.
It might have been Spider-Man. Yeah, it might have been Spider-Man 2018, and I think God of War 2018, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, and those I think were a lot easier to come by or a lot faster to come by in the PS4 generation than it is this generation. So Sony is, yeah, it may not be the greatest look of an Xbox device playing a PlayStation title, but I didn't see people raising arms about MLB. Sure, MLB themselves, wanted to expand their audience. So it's going to eventually be on the Switch as well. But it's one of those things where I think moving forward, we need to focus more so on the game output. Just because, and it's not to be a knock to Sony's first party, they're still producing. It's just that it's not to the same level as far as frequency as it was during PS4. It seems like they rather sell you more remasters to finance the next title in the series or something to that effect, or basically hit you over the head a couple of times with the remaster of a remaster, which feels weird to me. But that's a whole nother story. Like if a title is 10 years old or more, remaster, I think it makes sense. But if a title is 3 or 4 years old, or just at the tail end of the last generation, I don't know. It's definitely a different approach. But moving forward, people stop worrying about if it's an Xbox or not. If Xbox player base or Xbox people in the Xbox ecosystem are satisfied with the device, that should be the end of it. I know a lot of people were pushing back on the Portal when people were, complaining about the Portal. I didn't see the value in it for me as somebody that has a PS5 because I can do remote play through my phone. And if I really want to, I can install Chiaki on my Steam Deck. Not the biggest fan of it because it feels like it's a hack and a bigger potential for, information to be compromised. But in the grand scheme of things, that I didn't see the value. But for those that bought it, I'm not going to be like, well, you're an idiot because you bought it. No, I see the value for them if they're basically in their house on their Wi-Fi. Now, I think there have been some updates so you can go beyond your own home Wi-Fi as far as use and stuff, but it's not as pertinent for me because that the PlayStation titles that I would play aren't available on PC, and playing it on the Portal, something like GT7, just doesn't appeal to me. But that's just me. Like, I'm not really the biggest fan of playing Forza Horizon on my Steam Deck. I'll do it if I'm like in the lobby while my car is getting an oil change or something, but it's not my go-to. I'd rather see that on the big screen, on my TV, or even on the what do you call them? The Meta Quest 3, where you have that big picture mode, because at that point it's like 100-inch screen right in front of your eyes kind of deal. But
Yep.
I don't know. This whole thing about it's not an Xbox needs to stop. Find something else to wave a flag about. Like, I know there are people that want to talk about the potential layoffs if they happen next week or whenever they are officially
We'll
announced.
discuss them. Sure.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
but like,
Yep.
why discuss it on like not necessarily a rumor? It might be a good inside note, but until it happens, what are we doing? Like, I'd rather focus on the games at the current moment. When bad news actually takes place, then we can focus on it then. But I think the big thing now is people need to look at this upcoming hardware and their approach with the new UI as a opening of doors. So that way, for titles that may have skipped Xbox and went to Steam, like things like Hades 2, sure, it's coming to Switch 2 here sooner than it will on PS5 or Xbox, but in the grand scheme of things, if you already bought it like I did while it's in preview on Steam, now you can play it on your Xbox device.
There you go.
I don't see a problem with that, but that's just me. I rather just have a device that has access to as many of my games that I own, as opposed to focusing on having 5 or 6 pieces of redundant hardware at that point. Like, I know a lot of people don't want to bother with an Xbox because they have a PC and they have a PS5. And that's great. It's kind of along the same lines. If that works for you, great. If it doesn't work for you, stop capping. But in the grand scheme of things, this is what works for me. I'm looking forward to getting my Xbox Ally X, provided it's not over $1,000, but we'll see what pricing dictates. But right now, I'm hoping it's that $800 to $900 range. And yes, I know there's a lot of people like, that's ridiculous for a handheld, but considering the power under the hood, it's worth it. But don't forget that Xbox Ally, the one in white, is still a good handheld. It's better than the current Steam Deck as far as power output. Given that Xbox UI and the capability of still being able to play Steam games, I would say it's a good purchase as well. But that's just me.
Good stuff, brother. Appreciate the detailed explanation. But we have a couple of people that rolled in here, and one of which is Paris Lily. What's going on, my brother? How's everything? How you feeling?
Hey, good morning. And it was funny. Someone said Candyman. I just show up. Look,
Yeah, I literally said
I'm always
that.
watching and pay attention. I just want to say this, Fuzzy, and I don't say this in a disrespectful way. Everything that you just said was a complete waste of time. And here's why. It doesn't matter how logical you can be. It doesn't matter how much sense you can make. You will have people that will purposely twist the narrative into something negative. And I'm going to give you the perfect example of this. So yesterday, I'm in the Xbox PC app. I'm in the Insider build. It updated. Oh, wow. All my Steam games are here. Cool. Let me take a screenshot of it and post it. Oh, let me actually launch a game from it and just show people. 15-second video. That's all it was. Hades 2. Yes, I did see Marvel's Spider-Man 2 was right there. I purposely said, don't use that as the example. It will just create unnecessary bickering, right? This is me thinking ahead. What do you think happened? Unnecessary bickering happened anyways. It doesn't matter. I could just present it for what it is, and it didn't matter. People still want to argue. This is worthless. GOG did this 10 years ago. Blah, blah, blah. PlayStation, Xbox, cats and dogs living together, mass hysteria. It doesn't matter what you say. People will, again, because I can't cuss on here. It's fucking performative.
Yeah, there you go. That's what I'm talking about. That's right.
It's not real. These are people that will purposely want to spend something and argue about it. I even, at one point, quote tweeted, I go, why are people being so grumpy about this? All I did was show that it could do something it could not do previously.
Yep.
I didn't say it was good. I didn't say it was bad. I just said, hey, it can do this. And it still has to be this ridiculous, childish console war nonsense. Here's the bottom line on it. To everything that you're talking about, Fuzzy. The Asus ROG Xbox Ally and Xbox Ally X is not a console. It is a PC handheld running Windows 11 home. And that is okay because it can play PC Xbox games on it, right? As we just saw the example, you're going to be able to bring in your Steam library, your Epic library, your GOG library, etc. It will do the job of what it's supposed to do. Play your video games. It's all that should freaking matter.
Yeah.
But you have people that still want to argue this and spin it into something. And you did say something, Fuzzy, which I've been saying as well. Stop worrying about sales numbers. That's not your job. You're the consumer.
There you go.
Worry about getting quality content and value for your money. That's what you should be worrying about. But yet, again, these are adult children, grown children that argue online constantly. And look, I'm not dumb. Obviously, I'm a big target. Another weird thing, keeping a picture of me on your phone is disturbing. I just want to point that out too.
Well, you're a handsome guy. Parents naturally.
That doesn't matter. But
they're looking up to you.
I just find that one weird because I see that's the new one ever since I posted my hands on with the Xbox Ally. People take that cover art photo and post it. I'm like, you're keeping a picture of me on your phone? It's a little weird. Just saying. But the whole point on this is just like I said, the reason I came up anyways is I get you guys having this discussion and I understand why you're having this discussion, but trust me, the people that need to hear it will fall on deaf ears is all I'm saying. They're going to continue to do this nonsense because I look at it this way. I just want to play great games. I really give a shit what device they're on as long as I can access them and play them and have fun. Obviously, we want to talk about it, discuss it, stuff like that. But you will, like, again, I'll give you the other example. I think Death Stranding 2 is a Game of the Year contender, but you don't see arguing over that. But God forbid I say something about Xbox and then it becomes this whole thing. So it's just weird in that way. And I look at it like this, guys. Xbox is doing a different strategy. We obviously don't 100% agree with it. I still don't to this day, but they're doing it. I understand why they're doing it. I've accepted it at this point. You move on and you either buy into it or you don't. Because again, you're the customer. You get to decide how you spend your money. All I know is they're fixing the Windows handhelds with the UI, which is something that I've wanted them to do for the past couple of years. From what I got to experience, I think it's going to work. We obviously just got a sneak peek into how the library integration is going to work. That's fine. Guess what? You don't have to use it. No one's forcing you to use it if you don't want to use it. If you think having to launch a Steam game from the Xbox UI is dumb, don't do it. It's an option. I will never understand why people get so bent out of shape about having a choice.
Yeah.
This is that simple. You're not forced to do this. You're not forced to get Game Pass. You're not forced to even play an Xbox game if you so choose. Play what you want, where you want. It's really that simple.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? How dare you guys make this kind of sense on a Friday morning? This is outrageous behavior. I just think that, when you said like children, I don't even know what I said. Whether they're grown adults acting like children or otherwise, you're absolutely right, Paris. We're not. First of all, we're not discussing it to win any awards. We're not discussing it to win any narrative battles, in the Twitter streets. I just think that it's worthy of a conversation because what winds up happening, and you and I have experienced this. When people disagree with you, they will spit, they will scratch, they will kick you when you're down to try and win an argument. That you and I, we don't play this game. I'm not trying to win any arguments. I come out every day on stream to talk about gaming and have a great time doing it. And I do. 5 days a week, live streaming isn't easy. You put yourself out there. Sometimes I get it wrong, and you got to come out like a real man and explain why you got it wrong and apologize for it. But for the most part, these people, and again, it's a wide brush because they hide behind their anime picture profiles, and you'll never see them on camera. They'll say horrible things about you. They'll clip you.
Interrupt. to
Please,
say
please. Yeah.
to that example. And again, I know you don't name here, but I had an individual, I'm saying this lightly, a fellow content creator
Mm,
that has made entire videos worrying
terrible.
about me with Xbox. Again, keeps a picture of me on his phone, posting it online, but yet is an avatar. He's never shown his face ever.
Nope, and he never will.
But you know what I'm saying? So
Yep.
just the hypocrisy in that. Because I look at it this way. I'm on camera every week. Look, I may not be the most handsomest person in the world, but I really don't care at this point. It is what it is. I'm on camera. I'm out there in the community. Like I'm here right now in person.
Yes.
I make myself available. So you may not like what I have to say, but I'm very available if you want to actually have a discussion with me about why you don't agree with what I have to say. So when we do this passive aggressive, subtweeting and, oh, let me make a video about you because you talk about Xbox and again, I love to mock this now. The whole, well, you changed your opinion from 5 years ago because you're just going with what Xbox tells you to do, or you're just following marketing points. It's like, no, I'm highly
That's
intelligent
ridiculous.
and I see what's going on. So I talk about the reality of something in the moment, just like, and not to rant on this, but just like this whole exclusivity thing. Everything I said about exclusivity in 2020 and 2021 was 100% correct. And I will stand on the fact that Phil Spencer himself acknowledged it in public. So I wasn't wrong.
Nope.
But I'm wrong today because they changed their business strategy. It's that simple. And you move on from it. But it's hilarious to me how people can be anonymous. The anonymous people have the most to say. I guess that's what I'm trying to point out.
No, I mean,
No one knows
again,
who you are, but you sure flap your lips a lot.
Well, that's why, because they're
well,
anonymous. That's
listen,
why they flap it so much. I think
Yeah.
if people knew who they were, they'd probably shut up a little
that's
bit.
right.
I know what you look like. Okay, I'm gonna be quiet.
You know what's funny? I referred to this the other day, and I pulled this quote. Now you can say whatever you want about Mike Tyson, whether you like him, whether he's doing drugs, whether he's an old man. I don't care. But he said this, gentlemen and chat. Social media made y'all way too comfortable with disrespecting people and not getting
100%.
punched in the face for it.
Yep.
And he's not wrong. And these anime avatar people that will never be on camera, that will do egregious things with people's pictures and their content and reclip it and all the nonsense. They're cowards, and they will always be cowards. And that's fine. Again, clip all you want, try and take out of context all you want. Everyone on this panel are real people. We're out here every day doing our thing. We enjoy it. I very much enjoyed this. This to me is a dream come true, Paris, at chat and panel, because I get to talk about video games every day of the week. And I don't have anybody telling me how to talk about games. I come out here, I put out an honest product, and I have fun doing it. And I play games, and I talk about games, and I make thumbnails, and I'm doing all this video work, things that were way out of my pay grade of what I used to do professionally. And now I'm doing this, and it's great. It's fun. And that's where a lot of this conversation gets lost, is I don't understand where the loss of fun comes from.
Yeah.
But one of my favorite experiences of the year, of course, we know was about still my game of the year, but like one of my favorite things that I've been playing religiously for the last week, I can't stop playing it because it's like Vampire Survivors, is Keeper's Toll. It was $5.39, and all I want to do is play that game. And it's, again, I'm happy. I'm in my happy place when I'm playing that game. Where did the happy place go for some of these people? I don't know. But they need to find it and go play games. But Paris, I appreciate you being here, brother. I don't know if you want to hang out or not. If you want to, it's up to you.
I'll stay a little bit longer, but I'll just say along the lines of what you're just talking about, as far as, hey, you like what you want to like. I literally just an hour ago posted some gameplay from Towerborn.
Yeah, I saw that. I made mention of it, actually.
I want to be crystal clear. I'm not sponsored. Nobody's asking me to do this. I'm doing it because I genuinely like the game. And that's what it should be about. Talk about the things that you enjoy. Show things that may not necessarily be the big AAA, everyone's playing kind of thing. Here's something that, look, let's be real. A lot of people aren't playing it. It's in game preview. I get it. But I am, and I'm enjoying it. So why not show off something that you're enjoying the playing? Everybody can post gameplay from Call of Duty or Death Stranding or whatever, right? But what about the niche games that you're liking as well? What about that AA or that indie game that you're really enjoying? I like talking about stuff like that. That's things that not necessarily everyone is aware of, to bring awareness to it, because maybe you can jump in and play it and enjoy it too. So this is like, as you know, I've been doing this a very long time. I'm old. That is what I think has changed. We're in 2025 now, probably in the last 7 or 8 years, which is so disappointing to me. And someone else said this, but it is true. I remember when console wars used to actually be fun, when it was fun to have the back and forth by it, because it was never serious, right? It's just friends having fun. Like, hey, I'm over here, you're over there. You know, we talk trash about each other. It used to be fun. At some point, it became like real life for certain people, and they take it too far. They make it personal. Everything is about trying to embarrass someone or show off whatever. Again, the whole sales number thing, all these things, to where it stopped being fun, because console war is not fun. That's why I try my damnedest to not participate in any of that. And I'm sure as people know, I don't instigate anything. If you say something to me, I'm gonna say something back. That's just a fact. But it's not fun anymore. And that's why it's like, sure, I might lean more Xbox in the sense that Xbox is how I got into all of this. Like, obviously, I've done stuff directly with Xbox, whatever, but I love PlayStation too. I can't wait for Ghost of Yotai. What was my game of the year last year? Astrobot. You know what I mean?
Mine was
Obviously,
tops for me.
all of us here are Nintendo people. Nintendo's, they're the granddaddy of everything. So, I love Mario, Zelda, all that kind of stuff. I like talking about video games. I don't like talking about, brands. And I'll say this because I feel like I'm getting a little preachy. The thing about Xbox, even though they are quote unquote not the market leader, is I like the fact that, look, by necessity or by them just trying to innovate, they tried something different. Different interests me. Something that I think is future facing, something that I do think could change the way that we interact with our games, excites me. So of course I'm going to talk about it. Of course I want to see if it works, because there's no guarantee what Xbox is currently doing is going to work. We will see. But the fact that they're taking the risk of, hey, let's make a device or devices that is essentially open, because that's what this next generation of Xbox is going to be. It's going to be an open platform. It's going to be, bring your games to our device. We don't care where you get it from. You can play it here. Or, as I've said before, with this whole change with Windows, eventually Windows will be the platform, and you can just build your own Xbox if you so choose. That's where we're headed with all of this. That's exciting to me. That's, despite what some of my internet critics may say, could potentially be the future of gaming. And that excites me. And I like talking about that stuff. So I say all that to say this. Don't let any of these idiots online tell you what to say or think.
There
if
you
you're
go.
excited about something, talk about it. What they may say in response is irrelevant, because it's what you think. It's what you're excited about. That doesn't mean you can't critique things. I just said this the other day because I saw John at 343 had reposted what someone said. Devs and community is symbiotic.
Yes.
There's not a dev out there that doesn't want to make the best game they possibly can. So it is our job as a community to critique it, to be critical, to provide feedback. But my point is, if you're gonna tell me what's wrong, if you're gonna say this sucks, this is bad, provide a potential solution of what you think might fix it, right? And you can be respectful at the same time when you do that. That's just my thing. People that are just disrespectful to these devs, that forget that these are actually people, is what blows my mind, because they're just doing their job. Whether it's right or not, whether it winds up being a Concord or a huge success like Fortnite, they're just trying to do their job. And I think there's a way that we can provide feedback that is constructive, without just being an asshole. I think
Yes.
that's really just what it comes down to. So many people are assholes online because they have no accountability for what they say or what they do. And that's just the biggest thing to me. So again, I'm being preachy.
No. Listen, we appreciate the candor. Again, it's conversation, and these are conversational podcasts, and these things need to be said. Now, whether they, roll off someone's back or if someone takes the constructive criticism of be a better person online or not is entirely up to said person. I doubt any of those knuckleheads actually. Well, that's not true. We do have people that actually hate watch the show to clip it, which is a little, which is very odd to me. I don't know about you folks.
The hate follow and the hate watch is hilarious to me.
Is odd.
You don't like anything that I do, but you watch and observe everything I say 24/7.
Strange. It's strange.
There's a thin line. There's a thin line between love and hate, as they say.
Yeah, if I don't like what you have to say, or I think you're annoying, trust me, I'm not following you.
I am not. Yes. Yeah, you get put on the pain of mind list very quickly if I believe that you are either a troll, an a-hole, or worse than that. You're definitely getting blocked. But you know something? When people expose themselves to me, that I just block, and it's great. It's even better when they try to oust you on the socials. Like, look, Mr. Boomstick blocked me. What did I say? You know what? Good on you.
They probably said all type of manners about nasty stuff about you, your wife, and everything. What did I do?
Bro, what I do? I didn't say nothing wrong. I'm just being honest.
Yeah, here's my advice on that. If I can say real quick,
please.
Number one, protect your peace. If a person, and this is the person needs to take a look in the mirror. If you've gotten to the point where someone feels the need to block you, that means you're an asshole. Seriously.
Pretty much. Yeah.
That person is protecting their peace. That person is basically saying, you are so obnoxious, I no longer want to deal with you. I don't want to see comments from you. I don't want to interact with you. So and I'm doing air quotes, you take that win, because I see that all the time. If you block me, I win. Congrats, you win. Go for it. Knock yourself out. But I no longer have to engage with you. And I'll tell the story real quick, because, look, I'm a little petty. So, again, this is yesterday when I posted the Steam Xbox stuff. I saw this one guy just ranting and raving about it. And I responded to him, like, why do you care so much? And then he went on this trolly thing. And I go, you know what? You're just a troll. And I blocked him. So after I blocked him, I decided, I was like, let me go see if he said anything. So I went on his account and looked. And basically, I was every curse word in the book. And I'm a coward. And I'm this and I'm that. Because, and I quote, I don't want to argue with him. No, I don't. I really don't. I don't want to argue with you. That's why I blocked you, because you're annoying. And that's how you got to treat this social media stuff. If people want to be reasonable and have an actual adult conversation, I'm all for it, whether we agree or not. But the minute it gets personal, the cursing, you just start saying juvenile stuff, I'm out, because I got better things to do with my time.
Is that why you blocked me? Okay, that makes sense.
That's 100%.
I love it. Oh man, well listen, Paris. We definitely appreciate the conversation, and of course, again, it's. I thought that this was a great opening salvo. We do got to get Umbra's points of view on this regarding the handheld and what you're going to be able to do with it now and in the future. I really think that, again, Paris made a great point. Will this work for Xbox? We don't know. But I am going to tell you one of the things, Umbra, that we have seen from a lot of people, and this is not trolling, this is not console warring. These are general gamers who are excited about a future that has not been a part of gaming ever. Xbox needed to make a change because they were in third place. And they didn't want to keep banging their head against the wall and being just the third place Xbox. They did something, and they're going to continue to do things in the industry that are going to shake up the industry. They started in 2017, Umbra, with Xbox Game Pass, where they were told that there was no way this was sustainable. There was no way that people were going to take to it. And nearly 40 million subscribers later, people love it. It is the best value in gaming. I don't know why people still come out against it. It's very odd to me that I literally have people arguing with me who then eventually get blocked that, I'd rather own my games by buying them, and you're a cheapskate, and it's welfare pass, and so many ridiculous things immediately blocked.
Shame tactics.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. But I do want to focus on the fact that insiders or PC Xbox insiders can now launch games from Steam on their ROG allies, and eventually they will be able to do this from the launch of the console later this year. And the rumor is October for the ROG, Xbox Ally and the Ally X that do actually have Xbox buttons on them. They worked closely with Asus to, again, to make this an Xbox device. It is an OEM device. It is not made by Xbox, but they did work on this console or these consoles to get it to where it's going to be when it launches later this year. The UI that's on display right now in the preview program is what's going to be launching on these handhelds later this year. And there are people in the community, and you've heard Paris specifically talk about it, as well as Fuzzy, where this is not an Xbox. Why are you guys calling it an Xbox? It's made by Asus. It's made by ROG. I don't know. Maybe because it has an Xbox button on it. Maybe because it literally has Xbox in the freaking title of the item. Maybe I'm seeing it wrong. I just want to get your thoughts on this because
folks get real pedantic when it comes to Xbox. I've noticed. Well, I mean, it's not that; it's really this, but I even it's actually a PC. It's not really an Xbox, then, right? Ask yourself that. Xbox.
Now, do they sound like that? Is what I want to know.
That's how I imagine they sound. I don't know. I feel you have to be a super nerd or something. Like, well, it's not quite an Xbox, is it? Then I don't know what problem you have to have in your life that matters to you. I feel like you missed the plot. Something happened. But you know what? I'm going to take this opportunity to be petty, Umbra, today. Paris, I appreciate your high-mindedness. I appreciate your maturity. I'm going to be the very opposite, just for a thought experiment today. I had somebody hit me up, and I saw a brother's tweet, and he was like, oh, well, what's so special about this? I mean, we can do that now in Steam. You can get this and play these Xbox games and other games through the launcher in Steam. You just buy this or whatever, you add it in there. Brother, you do know we're talking about consoles eventually, right? Sure, it's not special yet for this. This is just the start. But once it comes to console, the difference is that they'll have the launchers there. They'll have Steam. They'll have GOG. They'll have Epic. It'll all be ingrained into the UX. This user experience for Xbox and the Xbox gamers is about to be something special. It's different. Why are you pretending like that's not what this is? It's an evolution. And I don't think people want to understand that. You know what I mean? And evolution by its very definition is a gradual development of something, especially from to form a more complex form. This is evolution right here, baby. You got to keep up. But they want to tear it down. They don't want the truth. But that's why I'm going to be petty, Paris. You should use that name, Paris. Do you want to be petty? Just call yourself petty. Anyway, I charge for those suggestions, but
you shouldn't be petty.
I Paris, but listen, we have enough.
And I'm being slightly serious here when I say this, and I get you want to do what you want, your grown ass man. But what's the point?
Fun, joy. I get to rob them of their anger, and
you're not. But you're not.
They get mad.
That's the whole point. That's the whole point that I'm trying to make. The same people that say the same nonsense over and over continue to say the same nonsense regardless of what you say. Oh yeah,
I know. But at that moment, in time, for that special one moment in time, Paris, they're going to be mad at me, and that will bring me pleasure because they've upset me enough to make me be petty, and now I have to upset them enough to make them upset.
Huh?
So so look, it's going to eventually wear off. They'll write me off as the Xbot, even though I'm on PC. It is what it is. But at that moment, I get to rob them of what they were doing right there and make them upset. That brings me such pleasure. You have no idea, Paris. I'm being petty Umbra right now, so stick with me. I have a special song in mind for them once we get your PlayStation games on our Xbox. My Hooves brothers. And excuse me, your love lifted me higher. than I've ever been lifted before. So keep it up, quench my desire, and your games will be at my side forevermore. You know your games keep lifting me.
That is fantastic.
Let me stop.
That is an original, folks.
I had to do it, Paris. I'm sorry. I'm going to get back in order.
So I'm gonna say this, and I'll exit on this. I get you're having fun, but I just want to point out. I just want to point out. This is part of the problem. It's not a us versus them, and I don't like that mentality that we have in the gaming community. This is video games. I don't like Xbox, Pony, all that kind of stuff. It's ridiculous to me. To me, do what you want. I'm just saying, when I see that stuff, I tend to distance myself from it, because that's not what this should be about. It should just be about, just play your goddamn games where you want. Why do people care so much about a goddamn brand or a device? I will never understand it. So
I mean,
that is my point.
It's fair.
I just want to say this. That is my point of view. Everybody can do what they want. Umber, do what you want. Sing all the songs you want. It doesn't matter. I'm just saying, when I see that, that is something that I personally do not try to associate with.
Yeah, listen, for me, Paris, this is not normal Umbra. I'm being petty on purpose. I get the high-mindedness, trust me. And if you look at my time, I don't console war, but I will make fun of things if they're funny to me. This right here is funny to me. This has been a generational thing with, and I call them Who brothers to be funny, but this has been a generational thing with PlayStation.
This is what it does. This is what it does. It escalates into personal shit, and that's what I don't like.
Yeah, Who brothers?
You start off there.
More
you start off with that, then they feel they got to top you. Next thing you know, they bring your wife and your children into it. That's what I'm saying.
I've been fortunate where that hasn't happened with me, and this is the thing I'm going to say.
Definitely happened with me.
I know, and that's the unfortunate part.
So
see, that's the thing. That's what I'm saying. Like, sometimes I play into the chaos, because if I'm going to sit here and tolerate somebody being angry at me just because I enjoy a game, well, I'm going to play into it and make them upset. So it is what it is. I respect your way of it, but I've done that before. I've been high-minded for a long time. It's always the same thing, as you said before. It's been going on for years. It never stops. It's not a us versus them, but I'm definitely going to differentiate the standard PlayStation gamer between them and the toxic PlayStation gamer. So that's why I say the Hooved brother, or the Hooved hooligan, or all these playful names. And I have PlayStation buddies on Twitter who know when I say that, they know I mean no harm. I've been in their spaces. I'll talk with them. They know me. So, but it's nothing hateful. It's me being playful when I do that. But I get it. I respect it. But no, I'm going to do them that way because it gives me a peace of mind. And everybody has to handle their things the way they do when it comes to social media. For me, that doesn't bother me one bit when I talk with them and entertain them the way I do. Like I said, I had this talk with somebody earlier when they posted their tweet, and I had to bring it to them. I said, listen, these games are going to be coming to the Xbox console as well. The person I'm speaking of, you actually know, Paris. You may have them blocked, but they were like, it's not coming to an Xbox console. It's going to be, it's not going to come to an Xbox branded console. They said it would only come to an unofficial Xbox, basically, right? Or the handheld only. And I said, well, when the official news comes out, we'll see. Right? Now, I'm not arguing with the brother. I know him. I've seen him for a long while. It is what it is. But I see nothing wrong with having fun, even with the toxic ones. Eventually, they leave it alone and move on. That's the way I do it. You know what I mean? But I respect it. But I think too, also, I think there's a difference. I think you probably deal with a much more toxic variety than I do. I think that's probably fair to say, because I haven't had.
Here's what I have to say. Yeah. Here's what I have to say, and I'll end this. And this is directed at your chat too. No, I will never. Oh, it's just fun and justified, and there's a way to do it. We're at a point F that. There's no, just be normal. Stop being assholes online. That's really what it comes down to, right? And yeah, I definitely get it more than anybody in this chat or on this panel right now, which kind of skews my opinion on this, because I've seen the absolute worst of what this gaming community can bring, right? But I've also seen the best as well. I'd rather focus on the best than the worst. So no, I'm not going to encourage people to be assholes online, because that's, again, what it really comes down to. It's not fun. It's not cute. It's let's be adults. We can have intelligent conversations about gaming. We can have fun playing these games, talking about it. It's not about, let me try to constantly say the thing that you like is bad, and then it turns into these personal attacks and all the other nonsense that we see online. So I will say again, that is my opinion. You do what you want.
Yeah,
I just don't agree with it.
Now that I don't do. See, I don't down any games. That's one thing I actually pride myself on. I don't down games. I play everything. I have a PlayStation. I have a Nintendo. I have a PC. I have an Xbox. I just have my preferences. So I don't down games. But what I will do is poke fun at those who come at me toxic, or toxically, should I say. So I don't find anything wrong with that. And I don't say anything nasty toward them in general. And typically it doesn't go that way toward me. And that's why I say I get your perspective, though, because you deal with that, I think, at a more stronger pace, and you deal with far worse as far as what's being said to you. Luckily, I haven't had that happen. So that's my perspective of it when it comes to that. But I get it. And I think it's just because you've had to deal with it so much. Yeah, it definitely would give you a certain bias toward that type of feeling, right? I get it.
Yeah, and that's all I'm saying. But
Yeah.
I will gracefully exit.
Well, we appreciate you stopping by, brother, and dropping your bars. And you're welcome here anytime. Thanks so much for hanging out, Paris. Enjoy the rest of your day and have an awesome weekend with the family.
Yeah, you too. Have a good
Thanks,
weekend.
brother. Appreciate it.
Brother.
Later, Paris.
So, again, thanks, Paris Lily, for popping in here. And again, I feel completely. I want this to be clear. He is a very busy man. He's professional, folks. He's got his regular job. He works for Kind of Funny. He does, the work with Danny Pena on a regular basis. The fact that he has the confidence to come on the show is a big deal for me personally, because he doesn't have to come here, and he's as honest as. And again, what you see, or actually what you hear on the mic, is exactly how he is in real life. That's the real man. I've met him multiple times, and he's a gentleman. So I definitely appreciate him being here. But gentlemen, chat, we got 405 people here. We got to catch up on some super chats. And we're going to get into the second topic of the show. This is the big one, folks. And I really think there is a lot here to get into. And I'm very much looking forward to hearing what Fuzzy and Infinite Umbra have to say about it. Because, look, folks, I honestly believe this is, again, let's be clear. This is not console warring. This is my personal opinion. And I honestly believe that the next generation Xbox already has a leg up on the PlayStation 6 right now, based on what you are seeing is happening in a preview format with the ROG Ally and the Ally X. That future is going to happen where there is no longer going to be borders. This whole thing of Sony blocking Xbox hardware from playing their games because they are the mighty PlayStation. I am here to tell you that if they tried that shit with Steam would be like, we're just not going to sell your games. And then what would they do? They're not going to do that, regardless of what the console warriors are going to tell you. But let me catch up on the super chats and we will get into that. I do have a lot to say. But the first generous gift of the day comes to way of Game Seeker, who has gifted one Double Barrel Gaming membership. Brother, that is very kind of you. We certainly appreciate the generosity. And Game Seeker, great to see you here. We also have Mo de la Gorza drops a very generous $2 super chat and says, hard pill to swallow equals Sony shareholders and fanboys. And you know what? There's going to come a point, folks, where the shareholders, because it is a publicly traded company, are going to ask, why is Microsoft making money on the PlayStation platform and we're not making money over there? I know that they're your a one-to-one when it comes to competition, but why are they taking money from Sony fans and we're not taking money from Xbox fans? They're going to ask that question if they haven't already asked that question. And I don't know what the answer is going to be. But Rich Maharg in the chat, first of all, he drops an outstanding, very generous $20 super chat. He says, dude, probably half or more listen to your podcasts as we are working. You went 27 days without uploading an episode. Please upload every day. Also, Alpha Protocol is being redone, ? I don't know if it is. In regards to the uploads, look, folks, I'm going to be honest with you. For a couple of weeks, I was dealing with a lot of personal stuff with Mrs. Boom and her health. And look, I did the podcasts. I still made time to cut them up and make smaller videos and throw them on YouTube. And I know that a lot of people do watch through Apple and the rest of their podcast places. It was a family first situation. I only had so much time for myself to deal with what was going on that we're keeping private. When it needs to be public, I will. I mean, Fuzzy knows because we're brothers, so we talk. But there was a lot going on, and as much as I appreciate the $20 super chat, there's some things that unfortunately I've been uploading to what the hell do I even upload to it? I upload to Anchor Podcast, and it kind of does all the things for me. I just did not have the time. I was traveling in the beginning of June. It was a last minute thing. I had jet lag for over a week and a half, which I was out of sorts. And again, a lot of personal stuff. So again, as you've seen this week, Rich, I'm uploading regularly, and it will continue. But yeah, that 20-something day string, there was a lot going on that I did not share with this community, and I don't want to share right now. It's not. All I know is that Mrs. Boom, after everything that we went through, she's good. She's going to be okay. It's just some other stuff going on. But again, it was a lot of personal stuff. I didn't have the time. But thank you so much for the generosity. We also have Game Shark here dropping a very generous $5 super chat. He says, dudes like DCG, Reforge, X-Volt, Crap Gamer, etc. deserve the smoke. They just don't have opinions. They talk as if they're better than you. Game Shark, here's the thing. These are folks that unfortunately do what I will never do, and that is use hate rhetoric to further or expand the brand. I've said this before, and I will say it again. If I have to be a D or an A-hole to get subs, I will quit and just be a gamer. I will never podcast again. But because I know I'll never do that, I will always live stream 5 days a week unless I physically can't because of other things. If I could be in front of this camera to hang out with this amazing chat, which there's 410 people here on a Friday morning. And again, folks, regardless whether it's 400 or 4,000, we used to have 25 people in the chat if we were lucky. And to get where we've gotten in 7.5 years, because the 8 years we'll make in November 3rd of this year, is beyond words. I'm beyond words grateful. I take nothing that we do here and any of the success that we get for granted whatsoever. And we have seen incredible success. Well, of course, would we like more subs? I had people tell me all the time, Boom, you should have 100,000 subscribers. From your mouth to the gaming god's ears. I hope so. But again, because we don't do what some people have done to get those 100,000s, then we'll just grassroot it. It's fine. But thank you everyone for the super chats. Let's get back to the show. So I'll start first with Fuzzy Belvedere. Fuzzy, look, we are witnessing a future in gaming that is happening at rocket speed. And the future of gaming that I'm talking about is what is happening currently with the ROG Ally and the ROG Ally X. And having an aggregated gaming list for you to for this to show up on these handhelds is this future where these walled gardens that were, PlayStation versus Xbox versus PC, those are going to come down. And Xbox is doing it first. Microsoft is investing in lots of things that are going to give you, the gamer, and of course I'm talking to the chat here, you the gamer, the ability to play a game wherever you want on whatever device you want. And I know that we've been talking about this for a while. I know that Xbox has been preaching about Play Anywhere for a while, and it's taken a long time to get here. We know that cloud wasn't always the greatest. There are other cloud subscribers that have it better, like GeForce Now seems to have it really good when you play it on their equipment. But the fact that you will be able to buy a game, the game will more than likely be a Play Anywhere game, meaning that you will be able to play it, you'll own that game, and play the game wherever you want, is a ginormous step towards the future. And as you've seen from social media, change scares a lot of people. And when that happens, you see people acting a fool, like we've seen certain names that will remain nameless. And I get it. But this is why I honestly believe that this conversation we're about to have is not only honest, it's earnest, it's truthful. It is what the future of gaming is going to be. Now, does that mean that PlayStation has to do that to be successful? Well, no, I don't think that they do. They're going to do what Sony has always done for years, and they're going to remain a very traditional PlayStation. Now, whether that hurts them with sales or not, I honestly don't know. Nintendo, see, the difference between Nintendo and everybody else is this. Their one-to-ones, meaning console and game purchase, is the highest percentage in gaming, and it's not even close, folks. It is not even freaking close. And the reason why they can make profit on a console is because their next generation console is a PlayStation 4 Pro Power. Their budgets for a Mario game, a Zelda game, pick your favorite. Their budgets, their highest budgets, and I don't know this for sure, but I can tell you one thing. The next Zelda will not be $315 million to make that game, like it was for Spider-Man 2. You know what it'll cost? About $70 million, maybe $80 million to make the next Zelda. And you know something about that next Zelda? It'll sell as many copies as there are Switch 2s out on the market. And that's why they don't have to do anything what Xbox is doing. You see, the difference here with the future that I'm talking about, and why I honestly believe that the next generation Xbox already has a leg up on the PlayStation 6, is because what I said prior. The PlayStation 6 is going to be a traditional console. It is going to be an incredibly powerful PlayStation 5. There is absolutely no way that they're going to have an open source box this late in the game. Xbox has been working on this for years. PlayStation is going to release a very powerful, very comparable PlayStation 6, but it's just going to be that. That is my point, and that is why I believe that the next Xbox already has a leg up on the PS6. I want to get your thoughts, Fuzzy.
Well, there's a lot of ways the next gen can go, and I've been trying to think of potential things that Sony might do to change things up. Like making a traditional console will probably work well for them, but I don't think that gets them above and beyond the player base that they currently cater to. And I think that's something that they're really trying their best to achieve, as far as, you know, making more inroads into the PC space. And the only thing that really comes to mind is to leverage their partnership, even though it's more so for the movie end of Sony's business, but leverage their partnership with Epic. And I could see that potentially, like I've heard some rumblings, some rumors about their PC store still in its infancy. A lot of stuff behind the scenes is still kind of dragging on, deciding on some things in the build process. But outside of that, I think they do want to make a bigger splash on the PC front, whether that's, you know, day and date, or, you know, partnering up with something like Epic, where more of their titles will be available. as well as some of the exclusives that Epic gets at times, but a lot of times those are also sometimes the timed exclusives that Sony gets. So I can see them trying to integrate something like that, but not at the launch. Like unless this goes above and beyond gangbusters with Xbox having maybe a full year advantage as far as release. I don't know if they quite move as fast, because Sony a lot of times, if it works, don't fix it until it's broke kind of thing. And we see that even with Bungie. No slight to Bungie, but it feels like they could have, shaken things up a lot sooner, a lot quicker to get things on the track that they need. So they're a lot more calculated with their moves. But when it comes to the next generation for Xbox, the big advantage that they have even in this generation is that quick resume. And I know there's a lot of people like, oh, well, Death Stranding 2 loads instantly. And that's great. Try going from Death Stranding 2 to GT7 and then maybe, Ratchet and Clank and then back to, Death Stranding 2. There is going to be, some more of a load time, or it's not as instantaneous, like, oh, you click on it and the screen loads and it's where you were, the last time. Maybe they figure out a way to do that. I don't know. It looks like, or at least my interpretation of the partnership that Xbox has with AMD is going to have it where more of their chips might have that capability. I know I've heard rumors in the background before about Windows 12 having that as one of the core functionality things that they wanted to integrate into Windows 12. They also wanted to do kind of their own built-in DLSS built into Windows 12, but they're already looking like they're using or will be using some of that hardware as far as the AI aspect of the chip, possibly for the next gen console. But Xbox has been great as far as features. Quick resume being the main one right now. Next generation, it could be more of a DLSS approach on certain games, so that way maybe something like a Series S has less of a headache for devs as far as, I guess, developing slightly different. Like, I think that's the biggest thing, looking at devs that are used to the traditional methods and then scaling down from PC kind of thing. I think that may have been some of the trip up for some of the devs in comparison to the way the dev kit worked for the Series X and S. But moving forward, I don't think that will be as much of a problem, because this is going to be more in tune with PC hardware. Is there some optimization issues on PC with certain developers? Yes. Not every developer. And a lot of developers are doing a lot better than even some of the developers on console when it comes to optimization on PC. And just think of how broad of a parts bin you have to cover for or make compatible. So I think this next console is going to be, feature rich, because it's kind of like what Phil said. The biggest thing that will attract you to Xbox is going to be what their platform and what their next console will have as far as features and abilities. And that open, basically like an open format type of store where you have the main Windows store, but you also have access to Steam, access to Epic, access to GOG. All of those things are going to make it so you don't have to look elsewhere. You just get this one box and you have everything at your fingertips type of deal. But hardware wise, the partnership with AMD, I think, is going to bode some more surprises, like quick resume in the sense of maybe upscaling or even expanding on quick resume, so that way. And these are things that we've kind of talked about in the background. It's like the real dream is when the Xbox Ally X or Xbox Ally that you were playing at your lunch break at work, you bring it home, you hit it in the dock, and you decide, well, I'll play it on the console, and it picks up right exactly from where you left off. No load times. If you're playing Division, you're right behind that same piece of cover that you were behind when you docked that handheld. So I think these are going to be some more of those differentiating factors. And the fact that you'll have more access for things like Discord as far as the party chat, even though they're already, stout chat setup works great. It'll give you a lot more people a lot more freedom and maybe more integration. So that way, when there are cross-platform and cross-play type games, you'll be able to have a lot more interaction with those other platforms in that regard. But that next piece of hardware, I think will start to show where everything is heading. Like, the exclusive box for exclusive games used to be the model, but I think moving forward, especially considering more of these publishers and more of these teams want to make money outside of what their current ecosystem may provide, we're going to see some more expansion. Now, will that mean PlayStation games specifically on an Xbox outside of, loading them from Steam? Maybe not, but they'll definitely expand their PC reach. And who knows? They'll probably, do more experiments like they did with the Horizon Lego and see if the Switch 2 might be a better landing point for some of their, titles, whether it be something like Astrobot or, other spin-offs that they can use their IPs on that device. But looking at Xbox right now, I like the direction they're headed. I like the fact that they are going with a tried and true partner as opposed to, switching up and going with Intel, because there were some rumors about that. There were some rumors about Qualcomm and Snapdragon chips, which we saw on the Copilot laptops, and that didn't quite work as well for gaming. There's still a lot of like when you're having to emulate certain games that have anti-cheat, you run into some brick walls, or even some of the ones that don't have anti-cheat, it still has this layer that doesn't run as smooth. Because I know, from what I understand, Master Chief Collection was having some issues in that regard on those Snapdragon laptops and stuff. So going with AMD, they've used them the previous generation and an offshoot the generation before that. They kind of know each other's, pros and cons of what they are looking for and how to achieve those goals as far as the platform is concerned. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this console. Pricing, I don't know. We'll find out what pricing looks like if there's another push for a 90-day stay on tariffs. And I hate bringing tariffs up, but that's something that's still going to be real and potentially affect things. But outside of that, yeah, it would be great if they can still do subsidies to kind of keep the costs low. But I want to warn people, prepare yourself for $600 base consoles moving forward for both PlayStation as well as Xbox. If they can keep them at 500, let's all do a dance in the streets kind of thing, but kind of prepare yourself. And that way, maybe the sticker shock is less harsh. But yeah, the hardware that'll be under the hood, especially with it being, new technologies and things like that for that chipset, I think it'll be well worth, even a $600 price. But we'll see if that is the case for everyone. And if they even do a Series S2 kind of SKU at that point. Hopefully, if they do, they're more in tune with their devs as far as the dev kit and what they, request, whether it be memory or other tools to make it a much simpler process for them than, the ones that have taken to it already. There's quite a few devs that have no problem with it, but the handful that do still have whatever programming issue, whether it's paid or intentional or what have you, hopefully that can be resolved through this next gen console. And then if not, maybe get the game on Steam and, wait until one of those summer sales like what's going on now.
You know what? You're onto something. Again, we'll see if there is going to be a Series S level next gen console. And again, the rumor for a bit has been a handheld. There's also a rumor that started floating around a couple of weeks ago where it was going to be a handheld hybrid, meaning was going to be a dockable console with less power in your hand, a little bit more power when you dock it, but not as powerful as the next Xbox, but still a PC/Xbox. I don't know if that's the route that they would go. Honestly, as opposed to the traditional ROG Ally X type of handheld, I would love to see Xbox do that, because what it would do is offer a PC level entrance into, knocking down these walls, Umbra, right? You're going to get your GOG, you're going to get your Epic Game Store, you're going to get Steam, you're going to get Xbox, you're going to get Xbox Game Pass, all on this device. But it's also not going to break the bank, and it also is not going to be as powerful as the big boy that's going to be underneath your TV, which could ultimately be, $600, $700, $800, $900. And I do believe that we're getting into a realm where subsidies are going to go the way of the dodo. I don't think that these companies are going to take massive losses on these consoles to move consoles. They'd rather move software. Ultimately, it's why Xbox has taken this third party approach, because they are selling games on Xbox, they are selling games on PC, they are selling games really well on PS5, and eventually they're going to bring their games to Switch at some point. When, I don't know, but they will at that point have sold games everywhere. And if they can sell software everywhere, they don't have to worry about selling you the console, which it seems like they've gone to. Now, are they making next generation hardware? Confirmed, yes. But Umbra, I had a lot to say before we handed you to Mike, as well as Fuzzy. I want to get your thoughts on this, because I do think there is something to be said about Microsoft as a corporation and Xbox as a part of that corporation doing some different things than their other competitors to gain ground, especially in the hardware area, where we know that they lost this generation, they lost last generation, and obviously the next generation is going to be vastly different looking. All right, there's OEM is going to be a big part of what Xbox does. Other people, other manufacturers are going to make their boxes, and some of which, and again, this is just me spitballing, and I guess it's fanboy dreaming, maybe there is a Microsoft Xbox that is very powerful. But what if Lenovo or Asus or one of these other manufacturers says, yeah, we have that as well, but if you want to spend the money, here is a setup that's $1,200 versus $9. Maybe there's a 5090 in there, a 5070 in there versus what the Xbox is doing. That, I understand we're getting into PC land, but again, what that kind of manufacturing does is get guys like me who will never game on PC. Now I'm a Steam customer. Now I'm an Epic Game Store customer, because I can play those things on this box that I couldn't do on my old console, and that's where the walls come down. Let's get your thoughts on whether or not you believe this new frontier for Xbox is not only a step in the right direction, but a step up or a leg up on PlayStation's next console.
So it's complicated, because I don't quite know exactly which way everything is going to go. Because I mean, we're still a lot of consternation on them doing a no exclusive thing, right? It's bring up a lot of people like, man, well, okay, well, why do I need to get an Xbox? But to me, having something like this is a killer app, right? Like having this where you get to access everything on Xbox evens the playing field for, in my eyes, when it comes to them in PlayStation. Right, because PlayStation people were saying, well, you get these Xbox games coming over there. I got PlayStation games, the games that may skip Xbox, they're all on there, right? Well, now Xbox is this right here. This move equalizes them in a way. So I feel like if Microsoft can stay at the pace of where they've been, like this year has been spectacular. If they can stay at this type of pace and deliver quality games as they've done this year, than the 80s and the 90s ratings as they've done, and if they can continually lock down 90 plus or whatever game of the year contenders like Expedition 33 going forward, on top of adding the ability to play these vaunted PlayStation games through Steam or GOG or Epic because of the integration of those stores into the UX, all those things I think will definitely lead people back toward Microsoft that may have deviated and traded over and become traders to Xbox. No, I'm joking, but those who may have left, may see something with the ecosystem worth having. I do. Game Pass to me is that killer app. But if I was just on console, I look at some of the reactions from people, and I kind of think like, man, you all seem to. I wonder if most people kind of, at least the more vocal of us that's here, like in the chat and online, if it's still a disbelief that this thing is happening, because it feels to me like people don't really quite believe it, and it's still like, yeah, I'm happy, but I don't know if it's going to happen. Guys, it's happening. Because if I was seeing this news and feeling the way I feel here, and I wasn't on having a powerful PC as I have, I'll be sitting here cheering the day on, like, yo, this is big right here what Xbox is doing. If we're keeping it real, this is uncharted territory in a way for them to go this direction with this.
Yeah.
It's not a traditional style of excuse me.
It is definitely out of the box thinking, for sure.
Yeah, it's out of the box. It's definitely outside the norms of a traditional style of console for them, and it opens up the ecosystem so much more. There are some games that don't even land on PlayStation. Very few, but there are some. With this right here, that means Xbox gets everything, including those types of games. You know what I mean? Now there might be some type of limitations as far as keyboard and mouse, but then Xbox has access to that too. So I don't know. We'll see how that plays out. But I think this type of situation definitely positions them to win. I guess it all depends on how they do the messaging and how they the pricing, obviously, of the handheld and of the next gen console. I know that the thought is that they won't subsidize. I still wonder though how that'll work out with the handheld, because if they're giving us the Z2, so it's pretty powerful, right? Like I'm moving to that because I have the Z1 Extreme, ROG. The Z2 is fairly more powerful, much more powerful in general, and it also has the added feature of the Xbox control ergonomics to it. So that's the thing. I think that's pretty cool. I think that's a worthwhile, a purchase for me. I don't know how many other people will say, "Hey, I'm down to spend $700 or whatever it may be." At the end of the day, right? I don't know. So that's why I said it's kind of uncharted. It's uncharted territory. I don't quite know how that might go for that. And I don't think Microsoft has diluted themselves either, right? I'm pretty sure they understand it's more of a niche device, right? The true test would come with them actually getting the console out there and it landing and having all those things available to play. That's the true thing. And again, I think if they can keep the cadence up with this, yeah, I can see this landing and going well for them and bringing people over. Absolutely. As far as how it goes for Sony, that can go a lot of ways. We've seen when Xbox has delivered, the Xbox 360 is our prime example to go to, right? It landed a year before the PS3. I believe it was a year, right? I'm pretty sure.
Yes, they jumped them a year, and I think that is actually what is going to happen now.
Mm-hmm.
And I've heard a lot of people kind of equate that timeline versus wait a second, this could happen again, because you got to remember, if they jump Sony by a year, and Sony's, listen, again, this is not downplaying Sony's next generation hardware. It's going to be powerful, folks, and it's going to do amazing things, and the games are going to look stunning. But again, the problem with it being traditional versus what Xbox is doing, even though it's uncharted waters, it's something that's never been done before, that there comes a part in the conversation that was used against Xbox for years, Umbra, where why do I need an Xbox if I have a PlayStation and a PC? Okay, that's not a problem. And they were right to say so. Here is now where that turns into a reverse card.
Yep.
I've Uno'd reversed you.
Absolutely.
Right?
Now, why do I need a PlayStation now? Right.
Why do I need a PlayStation 6 if I could just wait for it to come to Steam and buy the game there? And again, folks, whether you believe it or you don't, there is going to come a point where the shareholders are going to demand that Sony at least do a dual release, meaning PlayStation 5 and 6 and PC at the same time, because they are literally leaving thousands upon thousands of dollars on the table trying to keep the game exclusive to the box, where the other guy, Xbox, is allowing you to go and get games from everywhere. Please continue, sir.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. It will kind of, I think, well, I know the the fanboy chatter will be, why do I need a PlayStation? Right? Like, that's going to be the thing. Like, and it's not far from the truth. It's just kind of obvious. I think, and also too, you'll likely be able to use your DualSense on the next Xbox, I would imagine, since it's going to have more of a stronger ties to the PC in the ways. Right, will be more opened up, if you will. So there, you kind of can get your full experience there, right? Like, I'm just being real. So I think when you look at it like that, and if they come out a full year or two before the PlayStation 6 would drop, yeah, that could possibly cause trouble for Sony as far as initially. I don't know how things will play out in the long run, but I think again that goes back to the point of Xbox delivering on all those different fronts when it comes to games and things that they can acquire, not acquire, but I guess, well, acquire as far as inside of Game Pass. I mean, third party games, things like that, things that make you have to sign up for Game Pass, because that's the true exclusive for them. I know some people like to try to write that off. Well, it's not exclusive. Yeah, technically, yeah, I get you, but that's their exclusive now, since their games are all going to basically be going over to PlayStation, right? Okay, I've accepted that. That doesn't bother me. It's whatever. And hey, kudos to the more people getting to play those games. But now the opposite is true now too. You what was yours is now ours too. PlayStation guys, my PlayStation brethren, those games will be coming over here too. We family now. We intermingling. So let's get used to this. I think maybe this might unite us. Maybe this will bring peace. One console to rule them all. Maybe this will bring peace. Boom. Fuzzy, what do you got? Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, look, I will say this. I mean, I don't play on PC, so I don't know. Please correct me if someone in the chat or anybody on the panel. Do you have to pay to play online with PlayStation games? You don't.
No.
Or do
Not
you?
if you're on Xbox, on PC, you don't.
All right. So here's the thing. That's another reason why you might get people to say, wait a second, I'm paying for cloud saves and online. They just raised it to $80. It might go higher. What the F do I need a PlayStation 6 for?
Let's
if
be
I
honest.
can get, I mean, that's honestly.
You're absolutely correct there, Boom. I'm sorry to jump in.
Please.
I don't even see the point of PlayStation Plus outside of you getting those cloud saves. The games they bring into PlayStation Plus periodically, they're decent, right? Don't get me wrong. I think
they occasionally have a banger in there.
Occasionally they do, right? They'll sometimes be even better than what Xbox might give you for a month. But in general, Game Pass takes a dump on their chest when it comes to that. Let's keep it real. This is not to do the either or, them against whatever, but this is just the facts of it. So if I don't have to get that, and I can get your games, and the only thing that will be holding me back is FOMO. Well, if I can get rid of that FOMO feeling and wait just a little while, I'll have your games over here too. So that's really the only thing holding it back is FOMO. That is, of course, the barring the thought and that people keep trying to push. I think it's wishful thinking that the games, the Sony will somehow block it, on the Xbox side. I don't believe that's going to happen.
Nope.
But that's the thing. So this could lead to that. I kind of get this weird feeling though that it seems like more and more people are kind of generationally behind. Because I look at Sony gamers and I think a lot of them are still on PS4. You know what I mean? A lot of them are not on PS5. So as well as it's selling, I feel like there's still so many left behind. So by the time Xbox moves up to this with the Xbox Fusion, sorry, music in the chat. Yes, that's what I've dubbed it, the Xbox Fusion.
That's the rumor name. Xbox Fusion puts everything together. It fuses everything together. Yep.
Yes. Except that music in the chat. Yes, music 72. Yes. I feel like he's like, no. But I feel like that, that could be an issue too, where people, I think the finances could be the issue where he called it the Ford Fusion. I feel like what's wrong with Ford Fusion's music, huh? But no, I feel like that could possibly be the issue where I think financially, a lot of people are kind of in the turmoil, and they might not, or just not necessarily can prioritize gaming like they used to. Right? They're getting more expensive. You got much more important things to do in life to handle business wise. So that has held people back, I think, in moving forward too. So it's going to come down to a lot of things that can really push people forward. It's going to be pricing. It's going to be, what possibilities you can do with the console, and I think Xbox has that point down as far as what it can offer you. To me, I think the selling points are there as far as accessibility to everything. I don't think you can get much better than that. If I can get everything in one, that's a utopia. So I mean, again, it only comes down to FOMO. That's it. And if people can put off FOMO, then you got everything. And I feel that, and I've said this before, I feel like at the end of the next gen, if not the gen after for PlayStation, they might be going day and date by that point. So even that FOMO part might dissipate eventually, right? And then there's one other thing, Grand Theft Auto. A lot of people are like, oh, well, I can't quite quit you yet. Consoles, right? Like, I don't want to wait for that to come to the PC. I want to play this now. I'm one of those people. So, I'm going to be dusting off the old Xbox and, and playing through that. Maybe I can do some cloud streaming of it here and there. I don't know. We'll see how that works out. I know Take-Two, they want all their money and then some, twice and 3 times and 16 times over. You know how they do.
Everyone in this chat bought Grand Theft Auto 5 17 times. We all do. Check your couch cushions, folks. You're gonna find like 3 or 4 copies. Like, where'd those come from? Right. I don't know. They just popped in there. My bank account got emptied. What happened?
Was what I heard cracking all this time? Oh, okay. Wonder why that thing went. Who put this under my pillow? But yeah, man. I feel like it's a lot open in the air as far like a lot of open-ended things that needs to be solved. And one of the things that Xbox and Microsoft has to still kind of get in order is their messaging. And I feel like if they can get that right and proposition the pricing right, as well as that, that can absolutely pull people away, I would imagine, to Xbox. So it could be an issue for Sony. We'll see. I think though that just looking at it in a traditional sense, we always go back to console sales, right? It's kind of ingrained in our heads. I don't really think that's Microsoft's biggest point now for them. Obviously, it's MAUs, you're right. It's getting subscriptions for Game Pass, right? That's the thing for them. So I don't think that really matters as much when I think about it like that. But if you can pull these people into Game Pass, and once they see what you're offering with the next console, I think people might get stuck. It's a possibility. It's a possibility. The only kind of thing that dogs it down again are the pricing. And if we want to go back to the reservist, not reservist, what's the word I want to use? So people's past catalog of games, right? That could cause an issue. Like, well, I got all my games over here. I got or associations. I got my friends over here. Those things play a real important role. So that's tough to really say. I'm sorry to be ambiguous with my answer, but a lot of things have to go right. Is the best way I could put it. Good morning, Dave Reezy and Sith Lord. What's up, brother? But yeah, I guess that's where I'm at with it right now. It's a lot of open-endedness. I don't know enough to kind of make a stance just yet. So I'm kind of giving out, I guess, hypotheticals that could possibly.
Well, again, and you have to, right? Because we are looking into the future. We're not fortune tellers. We're just basically taking what has happened, what has been already announced, because there's been nothing announced for the PlayStation 6. Is Sony making one? They say they are, right? But there's been no talk on what that PlayStation 6 is going to be. We know that they had a business meeting, which was very weird, that suggested that they were going to remain very traditional, that they were going to drop one AAA developed game per year. That's not going to cut the mustard. It's just not when you have Xbox with so many studios dropping so many AAA bombs. And again, the future that Xbox has been talking about is literally happening. So even though we are being a bit hypothetical on how this will affect Sony, if Sony is the traditional PlayStation that they are known for, it is going to be a little difficult for them. Why? Because if they only put out one AAA game per year on the PlayStation 6, added with some potential gas games, some third-party, locked up deals, and you have Xbox dropping, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 AAA bombs from first party. They're working with Game Pass with second party and third party and indies. You have the ability to open up and play a Steam game, a Epic game, store game, or a good old game on your console. That really does put Sony behind the 8 ball. It just really does. Because what you're going to ultimately get is, wait a second, I have to pay for online to play with PlayStation. Let's say, for instance, it's still the $80. I got to buy the console, $800-900 for this, right? But if I take that money and I go and I buy an Xbox, I can play PlayStation, I can play my Steam games. Oh, I can play all these Xbox games. And there's this Xbox Game Pass thingamajig that gets me all first party for $20 a month. It's going to be a hard sell. I mean, again, the loyalists of Sony will always buy a Sony box. That's the reality. But there is going to come a point where the PlayStation 4 players, the PlayStation 4 Pro players are going to have to move to a PlayStation 5 or a PlayStation 6. At some point, is it going to be worth it when you're locked to that one console doing the same thing it's been doing for years, or you're going to try something new where you're getting everything in one location, but you're not going PC. You're still on console. It's going to be a very interesting conversation to be had. I know somebody in the chat said, well, I'll be revisiting this podcast. You know what? By all means, clip us, because this is the reality that has already been set forth. Whether it happens, whether Xbox is successful, only time is going to tell, of course. But gentlemen,
one thing, Boom, if I could throw one other thing out there.
Yeah, please.
And shout out to JD, where is it at? JD BSW 67. He gave a good point. He says, give Xbox the smoke too. It's time to drop online paywalls, especially when the Xbox comes to PC. So that's the thing that's tricky, right? That's another tricky thing, because you mentioned it earlier, like, they don't have to worry about paying for online on PC, right? I don't have to worry about it if I just get Xbox Ultimate or whatever on PC. So then what happens now with these things being available on the next gen console? How does that work out? How are they going to, I don't know how they're going to try to balance that right there.
Interesting. It's funny. That's a conversation that we may actually have on Tuesday, because I have an entire written thought and theory on not only are they going to remove it, but how they can do that. Because I think that this next Xbox, what you're talking about, that paywall comes down. And if that happens, ladies and gentlemen, if Microsoft figures a way to drop that paywall on these new consoles, not the old ones, not the people on Xbox Series X and S consoles, that is going to remain the same. But I believe that paywall drops for next generation. And if it does, that is going to be a dagger in the heart of PlayStation 6 if they continue to charge their players for cloud saves and online play. And I think that I have a whole thing written out, Umbra, that we can talk about on Tuesday, where I believe there is a way to drop that paywall. And again, it would be industry shocking. It would be, and it's going to shake up the industry in a big way. And I think that is another advantage that no one is talking about, but we will get into on Tuesday. Because again, I have a whole thing written on it.
I'm interested in hearing your write up on this.
I've been talking to some people in the DM, and again, no secrets here about how this could happen, and I have some thoughts. But again, a shout out to Music 72 that noticed I did a quick change. I'm in the muscle shirt. I'm going to the gym as soon as this show is done. I got to get my 2 miles in, and I got to do my Pilates. Yes, the old man does Pilates, folks. Yes, the only way that this back is going to stay good is if I continue to work at it. But let me just catch up on the last couple of super chats. And we have here Ice Reaper Frost drops a very generous $10 super chat. He shares something incredibly personal. He says, Boom, family always first. Recently lost my wife of 16 years at the age of 38. Dude, that is devastating, man. My heart goes out to you. Thank you so much for sharing that very personal thing with us. Yeah, Mrs. Boom was going through some things. We had some tests done. The tests came back negative. We're good. But that is why a lot of the uploading and stuff, if you notice, I didn't even do a lot of videos. I did the shows. I kept it personal. I kept it professional. I did my thing. No one knew what was going on. Now you guys and gals know that I did seem out of sorts on some days, but that's because I was going through it. But I did not want to disappoint the fans that tune in for a syndicated show 5 days a week. And again, Mrs. Boom was at the front of this. She said, "Don't miss the shows. We're going to be okay." And she was right. So we are okay. She's good. I'm good, and I'm starting to get back my groove. But it was a lot.
Glad she's doing better. I didn't know
Thank you,
about
sir.
that.
Thank you. Yeah, again,
And-
it's just, you know,
Yeah.
we kept things real close because we didn't know where things were going to go, but things are good. So thank
Yeah.
you. You know, appreciate that very much.
Absolutely.
But he goes on to
and
say,
condolences to Ice Reaper, by the way.
indeed. He says, it's just gaming. Wife comes first. Keep doing your thing. God bless you, homie. Brother, that's very kind of you. God bless you. And of course, once again, our condolences to you for the misses, because that's heart-wrenching, bro. No, Mrs. Boom is my best friend. I would imagine your wife was yours. And to not have them in the life, that's tough, man. That's tough. But appreciate you being here, Ice Reaper. And again, condolences. Do UK Now, the Broke Boy Insider, has gifted 1 Double Barrel Gaming membership. That's very kind of you, Will. We super appreciate the generosity. And, of course, you always being here. And lastly, Wakanda in the chat drops a very generous £5 super chat and says, just popped in to say hi to you and Mrs. Boom for the content. Plus, thank you to all of the panel members for all of their time. Good health to all. Yes, indeed. Without health, folks, you ain't got nothing. And I know this is going to sound like an old man thing to say, but I say it every day. If you get up in the morning, for me, the rest of the day is a bonus. And maybe that's an old man way to think, but the way this world is right now, if I can get up unassisted, I've already won. So take that, and whether or not you put it into your thinker cap or not. But let's get everyone out of here. Fuzzy Bobadil, let's sell the brand. But of course, we sell your personal brand on Mondays. Today we're gonna focus on the misses, because obviously Fright Night with Ferocious Fee is a podcast that you do with her each and every week. You have a bunch of panel members that pop in from time to time, and it is a horror-based podcast. So if you're into horror conversations, folks, you want to tune in because it's funny. They have good conversations. They talk about campy, sometimes really, really terrible horror films. But you know what? That's what makes horror films fun, especially when they're, in the B or C level. Sell the brand, brother. Where can people tune in to you, the missus, and of course the rest of the crew on Friday evening, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, on new episodes of Fright Night with Ferocious Fee? And where can they subscribe? And more importantly, follow you guys on social media.
Well, just want to start off by thanking you for having this show, and always love doing this on Fridays. Glad we had Infinite Umbra as well as Paris hop in. Just love hearing your guys' thoughts and your takes on the industry and this hobby we all enjoy as far as gaming. It's great to talk about it. It's always a fun time. Thanks everybody in the chat for, staying with us and interacting with us and keeping it respectful for the most part. There was only I think one bad comment, targeted at Paris, but other than that, I love interacting with you guys. And, there's plenty of games out there. I'll be probably hopping on Division 2 later on today. That Brooklyn DLC is right up my alley, but
that last boss, she is a real MF. With that shield, OMG, I died many, many times. I got to get a crew to take her down. I tried it twice by myself, and it wasn't cutting the mustard.
Oh, the next boss after her is even worse.
Even worse? Oh, boy. Okay, there you go.
No, but for those of you guys that might be horror fans, the movie of tonight is going to be Megan, the first one. Now, we did get to see 2.0 the other day, but we're going to be mainly talking about the first one and maybe a few hints on Megan 2.0. Fun movie. If you haven't seen it, definitely say it's worth checking out, but that'll be the discussion for tonight. I put the link in the chat for Fright Night with Ferocious Fee. Check us out, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time later on tonight. Yeah, we're going to have a good time. Hopefully, sideways conversations about Diddy. I don't know how we got on that topic. What was the movie last week? It wasn't 28 years later, but somehow we got sidetracked and things just went left. But we're also going to have Swine and Dine, an interview with the directors and writers for that movie. It's a short film. Keep an eye out for Swine and Dine. Imagine, pigs getting revenge on us for all the terrible things that we've done to them over the years. So it's definitely worth the watch if we get the chance to see it. But hopefully everybody has a great weekend. Play some games, have some fun.
Yes.
Avoid social media. If it makes you feel a certain way and you get angry, it's time to go back to gaming or something that's less stressful and more enjoyable. And have a great weekend, guys. Hope to see you guys here, same channel on Monday, 12 noon for Xbox Lunch Break Special.
Well, I appreciate you always being here. Shout out to Stage on X. Great to see you here, brother. He says I slept great with Fuzzy and Umbra's voice in the background. That's awesome.
I don't know if that means we put him to sleep. I don't know what that means.
I don't know. CK Sketch in the chat asks you, Fuzzy, did you guys talk about Terrifier at any point?
Not yet. I'm still trying to get the wife to watch it. Like, she loves gory slashers, but for whatever reason, because there's no story behind art, or at least that's what she's saying. She's like, So I'm going to get her to watch that here soon. We're going to talk about Terrifier probably before the end of July. So keep posted.
I've never seen Megan, by the way. I've never watched it.
We got to watch it. I know I saw it with Megan too. We saw Terrifier 1. We didn't see 2 or 3. We definitely got to check that out. But Infinite Umbra, let's sell your brand, brother. Obviously, The Fix is a show happens on Thursday evenings. You and Daniel McGee do a great job of keeping the gamers entertained with the gaming news, but that's not the only thing that you talk about. And of course, with the Fantastic Four coming out in July, along with Superman.
Oh man, hype for that.
There is some film to talk about. I would imagine you guys are going to talk about that and some of the ongoings with I don't know, do they even do SummerSlam anymore? I don't know if that's a thing anymore.
They do. Oh yeah,
they do. So there's some wrestling to be talking about. Sell the brand, brother. Where can people not only tune in and check it out Thursday evenings, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, but more importantly, subscribe to keep those subscribe numbers growing on a regular basis and follow you on social media?
Yes. I want to firstly thank you for your grace, Boom, of understanding. You know what I mean by that.
Yes, sir.
And appreciate you having the brother on. And it's been a minute since I got a chance to speak with my man Fuzzy here. Glad to be here with you, brother, and talking and chop it up with you. Also with Paris. I feel like I ran him off, but all love to you, Paris. I was joking. I want to make sure that was understood. That wasn't the real me. That was the petty me. I have one more addition to that because people were asking me to sing one more song, and this is in dedication to that. And Boom, to your question, your last question to us is, will people possibly move over to Xbox? And maybe think of something that maybe the PlayStation would sing to those leaving customers. Not PlayStation as the people, but the console would look at them with hands stretched out. Folks say that you found someone new to do the things I used to do for you. Okay, I'm stopping. So now, because Xbox can do everything you did before, now it does that and more. They no longer need you. They've evolved. I'm sorry. I'm playing. I'm not being serious. I'm being facetious. No one take that serious now. And singing comes out when I'm tired. But yeah, Boom. Thank you, man. Thank you for having me on here. Keep doing your thing. I'm glad that Mrs. Boom is doing all right.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
She steadily improves as well as that goes and everything. Man, yeah, you've hit it already on the head as far as that show Thursday for myself. The Fix with myself and Daniel J. McGee at 8:00 Eastern. We didn't have a show this week because he has a bunch of things going on, himself and myself included. Yeah. And I want to have a stronger show when we do go on. So I don't want to just go on and be like, oh, here's a few news beats and kind of get out. I want something stronger. And of course, I'm on the Infinite podcast with Risket as host, myself, the Blue Number, and Spriggan, aka Dante Moody, who may have gone out to LA recently, Boom, yourself included. Got a chance to meet Dante and things like that out there, who was helping.
Gentleman of a man.
Yeah, great guy, great brother. And of course, Tuesdays here, I'm here with Boom and Jamie's typically at 12:00 when I can make it. If the Sandman hasn't paid me a visit.
We work midnights, brother. Like I said, we're always happy to have you, but when the Sandman gets you, he gets you.
Absolutely, Mr. Sandman. He comes by. You got one last super chat, by the way.
Get that. Okay. We do have this is a good one. A good friend of the show. Where is it? It's right here. Your baby Farver drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, Umbra, drop the link to your R&B mixtape. I know you have one.
I'm going to call it The Infinite.
There you go.
Yeah. But as far as where to find me on social media, of course, Infinite Umbra or Umber Infinite. You'll find me either way. That's on Blue Sky and Twitter is when it comes to that. So, yeah, thank you all in the chat for being here and holding us down today too. All love to you all.
All right, brother. Most appreciate you being here as always as a special guest, and of course we look forward to Tuesday because Tuesday we're gonna have a pretty good conversation about how the paywall could in fact come down for Xbox next generation. I think there is a way to do it, and just based on some of the numbers that has been presented to me, I think it's absolutely possible to bring it down without hurting. Of course, we have to put on the profit cap, because Microsoft ain't going to lose any money, but there's a way to bring it down where it doesn't hurt them, but it also could hurt Sony. And that this is one of those jabs that when you combine with some of the things that are potentially going to happen in the future could put Sony at a really big disadvantage. But ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for us. A big thank you to all of the super chats that popped in here. A big thank you to all of the kind words, and for Mrs. Boom, she's doing well. She's going to be okay, FYI. But again, we appreciate you guys and gals tuning in each and every day that we do this live stream, Monday through Friday. And of course, we're going to close out the show with something that's incredibly important to me. Hopefully, one day, ladies and gentlemen, it's important to you, and that's something that my dad taught us when we were kids. And he would say, "Craig, treat others how you want to be treated, and also it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, son. I can guarantee you." You're going to have an awesome day. So take care. Have a great weekend. Enjoy gaming on whatever console you enjoy gaming on. And we'll see you next week on the newest episode of Breakfast with Boom.